like to welcome you to my fucking hell.
Hello, YouTube. Let's turn on. Okay, your mic is working, right?
Yes, as far as I can tell.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Mika.
Thank you so much for coming. We have such a good episode today. I'm so excited about it.
Thank you for having me. Oh, something just cut out. Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah. So sometimes the headphone disconnects, so just
Play with it.
Yeah, just play with it a little bit. So, welcome, YouTube. Welcome, Newtown. Today we have Kelly from the Shaka Club. And we have such an important topic today because in all the previous episodes, we were covering finding a job, finding an apartment, just moving, networking, all these things. But we can't survive without friends in the city. It's just practically impossible. So that's why I wanted to invite you, because being a part of the Shaka Club, working with you guys, it's an amazing opportunity to meet people and to, just to kind of especially for people who arrive in the city for the first time.
Yes.
It's amazing. But before we talk about the Shaka Club, we're going to talk about Kelly.
Yes.
So you a co-founder of the Shaka Club.
Exactly.
And Caitlin couldn't be here today, so.
Exactly. My twin sister, Caitlin, is the other co-founder, the other half.
Yeah. So, but she knows you're here, and I guess whatever you're going to be saying, it's,
Exactly.
it's everything.
For both of us.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about how you came up with the idea, and everything. So, yeah, so just tell us about yourself just a little bit. So,
absolutely. So I'm from New Jersey. I'm a twin. My twin sister, Caitlin, is the other co-founder, my other half. We talk about Shaka all day, every day, obsessively. It's the only thing we pretty much do or think about. But it didn't start out that way. We're from New Jersey. We went to college in Chicago. So that was our first experience kind of living in a new place. And the school we went to, University of Chicago, was social, but I think everybody has experience in college or their first time moving out where you're really trying to find your place and kind of playing around with your identity. Like, who am I? Who do I want to spend time with? So we always had that in the back of our mind from that experience. And then moving to New York, I think we felt it a lot more, where I was working at first at a PR firm that had some people my age, but it wasn't massive. And my sister was an equity derivatives trader on Wall Street, so she had really intense hours.
wow.
She worked with a lot of older people. So every weekend we'd get out of work and we'd be looking at each other and we'd say, okay, yeah, we can kind of see the people we already know, but we're in this big, vibrant, interesting city. Why aren't we meeting more people who are not like us, who we didn't go to school with, who we didn't grow up with? So we started to think about what would help us explore in the way that we want to. And we said, okay, dating apps, we don't want to be on an app. We don't want to be on our phone more. We want to be actually forced to get out of our comfort zone, get out there, talk to people in real life.
Also because it's very specific. A dating app, it's very specific, the purpose of it.
Yes.
So it's a little different than just let's hang out.
Exactly. It's very limiting. So we were like, well, we would love to be at an event where the point is to meet people, because sometimes you go to parties and everyone's talking to their friends and you try to break into a new group and they're like, why are you talking to me? So we wanted to fight that tendency, and we started hosting events where we would basically invite our friends and beg them to bring friends of theirs that we didn't know already. That's how it started, very small. And then once we saw how much interest there was, we quit those corporate jobs and took the plunge.
That's amazing. Where did it start? When did it start?
It started, our first event was end of September of 2021. So about 3 years ago.
Is it during COVID, 2020? Yeah, it's during COVID.
Exactly.
Wow.
It was at the tail end of COVID. We had the idea before COVID, but then during COVID, I think we felt particularly socially isolated.
Yeah.
So that's when we kind of laid the groundwork, started the website, started all of those things. And that really put pressure on the first events to be outdoors, spaced out, etc. But that is when it started. So once all the restrictions lifted, we were finally able to host bigger, more meaningful events.
Wow. Can you take me through the process of what did it take to make it happen? Why did you need to, because you need to sit down and be like, okay, we need to take care of the website, of open social media. We need to, what was just shortly about the process of starting your own thing here in New York?
Oh my God. It was basically in between working hours. So she and I both had really demanding jobs at the time, and we would pretty much stop working at around like 8 p.m., have dinner, and then just do work on Shaka. A lot of it was self-taught. We had some training and relevant things from our full-time jobs, especially since I was working in PR. I had some experience with websites and whatnot, but it was just a lot of she and I brainstorming, like troubleshooting ideas that we had with this work, with that work. And our first website was horrible. It was hideous. I need to send you pictures. It was like the worst thing ever. People were making fun of it. I was like, I would make fun of it too. This is just as good as I can do right now. And we started hosting events off of that, but it was a lot of, as I said, begging people we knew to show up. But from that, we actually got in touch with the influencer Overheard on Wall Street. He has a newsletter. He's big on Instagram. He's become big on TikTok. And he is actually from abroad. He prefers to remain anonymous, so I won't give too much away.
Okay.
But he had at some time had the idea, a similar idea to Shaka. So when he heard about us, he was like, wow, that really resonates with me. We worked together on some marketing. That's when we just started seeing all of these people come in and say, I want to come to these events. And a lot of the people, to your point, because it's New York City, a lot of them were international. So our first members were from like Belgium, Australia, Nigeria, all of these places, and then across the US too, Idaho, California. So it was very much a mixed bag. And
even now,
I
even now,
that.
there are a lot of international people like I see in events.
Yeah,
that,
like
you. Yeah, like me.
you.
Exactly. But yeah, a lot of international people, because I feel like we didn't grow up here. So we come here, we don't know anyone. And it's easier if you go to college. So maybe you can meet some people if you have a specific job that, makes you kind of meet people. But
Yeah.
for most people, you come here and a lot of us, we feel isolated because we don't know how to meet people. And like you mentioned, there are dating apps, which has a different purpose of that,
Right.
And of course, there are Facebook groups and all that, but not everyone is that social to write on a Facebook group to be like, oh, I'm looking for friends, let's hang. I see people do it, but it's not the same. So
It's not. And what we hear a lot from people who have joined those kinds of Facebook groups is that there's no follow through. There are a lot of apps that say where people can say, hey, let's hang out. This is what I'm interested in doing. But people say it never ends up happening because it's strangers on the internet.
that's true.
So if even if you plan it, maybe one or two people show up and it's like a random guy 30 years older than you, some kid who hasn't even graduated high school yet. You don't know who's going to respond. So I think that is also back to your question about how we started Shaka, why we've structured it this way, where we're like, we have to confirm everyone's age. You have to be living in the New York metro area. You have to have some, interesting pursuit. It doesn't have to mean that you have some crazy corporate job, but you have to, be pursuing something, because I think that's part of the DNA of the city, that everyone is kind of like a hustler.
Yeah, I was curious. I don't know if do you hear me well? Because I don't know if my mic
I
is
do.
like,
Can you hear me?
I hear you perfectly, but I hear myself very weirdly. But I don't know. I hope people hear
It's
me.
a delicate balance.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's just my headphones. But actually, I was wondering about that, because on your website, you need to be approved to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of answered that, because I was curious, what are the factors? Because for some people, maybe they think, oh, I don't have this corporate job, or like, I don't have something to offer. So, but you kind of answered that it doesn't matter what job you have. You just need to be an interesting personality that's willing to, meet new people, and you're not a creep, basically.
Exactly. And that's such a hard thing to pin down, because, there's that spammy element. You see it everywhere. If you're on an app, if you're online, you'll see some people in the comments saying like crazy stuff. And we've seen that in applications where we're like, okay, this person seems unhinged. And we're like, that's the element that no one wants to be around. So we have people who didn't go to college who work as artists or something like that. We have people who went to college and are pursuing PhDs. We have people who run their own companies. We have people who have a more creative lifestyle. It doesn't matter to us, as long as like the core part of them is, I'm genuinely interested in meeting new people. I seem like a nice, normal, for lack of a better word, person, and I'll be additive to an experience. I'm not going to be someone who shows up and like creates a problem or says something nasty, because there's enough of that in the world.
Did you ever have that? Did you ever have an experience with a person who needed to be removed from the club because they created this uncomfortable situation?
That's a great question. We have never had someone at an event do anything that required them to get kicked out or that caused a problem. And we've hosted hundreds of events at this point. And I've been to like 90% of them, especially at the beginning where it was more delicate in terms of who you were getting. And we have never had that situation, luckily. We always have staff on hand just in case. But we did have some interesting things at first where some people who applied who seemed spammy, we blocked them. We basically said, hey, there's not enough information here. Like, you can't come to an event until you give us more. And the building I live in, there's a doorman who we've known for a long time. And I came down that morning at like 8 a.m. And he said that a man had showed up at 6 a.m. and tried to go up to my apartment because I guess somehow through our legal documents, we hadn't protected our street address well enough.
Wow.
So he waited for like an hour and a half, and it was a guy who had applied like 15 times. So he kept saying, no, you can't come. And the doorman was like, yeah, I know these girls, they don't take meetings in their apartment full stop, but certainly not at 6 in the morning. They're not up at 6 in the morning. So that was like a kind of wild scenario, but that's kind of the element that we're protecting people from, right? That's like the worst nightmare, that kind of person actually shows up at events. And we hear that from people who go to other events where they're like, some guy followed me around all the time. And we're like, knock on wood, we've never heard that at a Shaka event, but that's because we have staff there. You're watching, I'm watching, Emmanuel, Ryan, Caitlin, the whole Shaka, Michelle, the whole Shaka team watches, and we go over not only all of the guest lists in advance just to like double check everyone, but all of the accounts that get created. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
No, that's good. That's important because, people need to be protected, especially like, when you're coming to these events and you want to meet people. I feel like it's such a good thing to know that these people are, like checked, like they're good, they're okay.
Yes, and not in a snobby, exclusive way, just in a like, we are trying to actually make sure we deliver on the promise that everyone's going to be nice and inclusive and actually want to meet you.
Yeah.
But yeah, luckily, no crazy scenarios yet.
Yeah. I mean, from what I've seen, and I've been to many events, it's like people are very nice, very open to conversation. Nobody, like, I didn't see any like creepy scenarios, Love
it. Love to hear it. And we also have anonymous surveys afterwards, so people can always tell us. We make it clear. You can tell us anything that happens. But I think we've done this for 3 years now. You can tell so quickly if someone's application meets the standard or not. Did they fill out the information? Does their Instagram actually have followers? Is it sometimes if it's like a cartoon picture, they have 0 followers and they're following 500 people. We're like, this isn't a real person.
How do you check a person that tells you I don't use social media?
They usually have an alternative. So sometimes they'll send us their profile on their company's website. Sometimes they'll send us their personal portfolio or website. They usually have some trace. That's all we're asking for.
Yeah,
like,
as long as you're a real person, you're good.
Exactly.
That's
no
good.
bots at the Shaka Club.
So before we start talking also about the Shaka Club specifically, I'm so curious, walk me through like what your day looks like when you're organizing an event, like working on all these things. Like, how do you?
That's a great question. My days are sheer chaos. I also just fostered a dog, so I just like to apparently add to the stress in my life, but
I did the same thing.
I apparently just love to make my whole existence a pressure cooker. But that's what keeps me focused. If there's no pressure, I tend to like lose my way. So basically, Caitlin and I, my twin sister and I, live together. We run the Shaka Club out of our apartment. So we bug each other 24/7 about what's going on with Shaka, thoughts, ideas, etc. We have like kind of different verticals in terms of what we work on, just for efficiency. So Caitlin is usually the core event planner, and she and I will strategize over, when to host the events, where, what kind of vibe. And then I work a lot on like messaging, communications. We're expanding to a few new cities coming soon. I won't spoil it. And plans for that. So really, it's anything you can imagine. Caitlin and I have to kind of be rallying the team and be giving clear direction on what needs to be done in a given day. We're just kind of the engine, and then we have people like yourself who do the photography, run the events, and a marketing agency who help us kind of make all of those ideas actually happen in a timely manner. Because two people, there's only so many hours in the day,
Yeah.
and mine are capped out.
No, it's really hard, especially because I can imagine some of the things require also communication, with the places. You need to book the bars or the places. You need to navigate that, and there's always a problem that you need to solve or fix. Or
Always.
so, yeah, I can imagine like how the day looks like, and it's especially in. I have experience working with restaurants and bars in New York City,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
know you do that too. So I know how hard the communication can get.
I think that's one of the most interesting parts about Shaka and about this career is that if you're not in the service industry or if you haven't worked at a bar or restaurant, you don't actually know how hard those people work and how hard their business is. They add everything to the city. The whole enjoyment of the city is based on these third spaces that these majority are small business owners. There are some big restaurant groups that are kind of taking over a lot of the rooftops and things like that, like really high potential spaces, which I think is a bit of a shame because there are these small businesses that I think that's what New York City has always been, that these people come from all over the world and they build a restaurant and they put their heart and soul, their culture, their background into it. And I think they're slightly taken for granted in the city. People love to eat and drink out, but I think I've grown a massive appreciation and respect for that kind of hustle, the nightlife especially, where they live a totally different life. Their hours start much later. So we've had to adapt when we're working with them of, okay, some restaurants you're just gonna have to speak to them starting at like maybe 8 p.m. or he gets off at midnight. You're gonna have to talk to the manager then. It just depends on the place and the people, but it's very much still a relationship business of they want to know who you are. They want to speak to you. There's no automated way to create an event. You really have to work
With the
hand in
place.
hand with the place.
Yeah. Do you have do you work? How do you choose the place that you wanna host in? Like, how does that?
That's a great question. So a lot of it has to do with the imagined customers that we have. So I think we try to think of the full remit of the people who are interested in coming to our events and what they would want to see. So for example, this is not just a women's group, it's co-ed. Most events are pretty much 50-50 in gender split, and that's because we make sure that the bars aren't too girly. Like what we've seen other groups do that host events. For women, they focus on a lot of light and airy spaces with flowers, etc. That probably doesn't serve beer. For us, we're like, what is a place that's nice enough? It's swanky. It'll get the female element, but also has enough of the post work, let's just chill out vibe that will get guys as well. So that's one of the elements. Two is it has to strike the right balance between being a good space, being well appointed, offering good food and drink, having a good price point, because some of these places it's you're on a rooftop, so the drinks start at $25, like not worth it to me, and we've seen in the survey responses not worth it to members either. And then we try to move location a lot. You've seen in your time with us start to host in Brooklyn and New Jersey a lot more, Jersey City and Hoboken. So location and moving it around, making sure that it's convenient for people is a big factor too.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think because you have a lot of members, right?
Yes.
You have a lot of members. So obviously not everyone lives in Manhattan.
No.
In Brooklyn, and do you do Queens as well?
We do. We consider Brooklyn and Queens kind of one branch semi together because it is easier to get to Brooklyn and Queens than other places.
yeah. But most events that I personally been, I think it was Manhattan usually.
Yes.
Which I feel like Manhattan is just easy for everyone to get to.
Yeah.
So that's a good.
It's very central, but we've really started hosting at least once or twice a month in Brooklyn. We're ramping up Jersey and Hoboken too, and we're hoping to host some mixers in Brooklyn too. So like our biggest events, bringing Brooklyn specific mixers But as we expand, we know, and you've mentioned before too, our most popular events are when we have a specific age group attached to them.
Yeah.
They just blow up. So I think even more than location, people just want to know who else is going to be there. Will they be plus or minus around my age? And that just drives huge numbers.
I mean, it makes sense. People want to meet people in their age group, and it's mostly 20s and 30s, right? Like that.
Yeah, that's where the majority of people sit. We've started expanding a little bit to the 40s, so like late 30s, 40s, but we really segment based on where people kind of would consider themselves. So
Okay.
early to mid 20s, mid 20s, or late 20s to early to mid 30s, late 30s, 40s. Those are pretty much the main segments. And it makes people really comfortable knowing, okay, if you're 22, you're not going to meet someone who's 10 years older than you, who's
Yeah.
trying to hit on you. They're all going to be within a certain range. And if you're married and you're in your 40s, or if you're single in your 40s, you're not going to go, and everyone's not going to be 2 decades younger than you.
Yeah, and I know that you do it really well because you either have events from like happy hour for 20s, happy hour for 30s and 40s, and if it's an event that combines everyone, you always do this like little either a bracelet or a necklace that kind of like says I'm under 25, I'm over, something, so people
Exactly.
can navigate easier,
Exactly. Just so they can see, okay, I should talk to these people.
Yeah. So okay, we talk about Shaka again. We didn't talk about you enough.
Shaka is me.
Would you say this is where you want to be in life? Like this is what you want to do?
Yes, I think when I was in full-time work, I did not find it to be flexible and creative enough because there's a lot that you have to answer for. Your boss kind of tells you what to do and then you do that, and maybe you have some ideas of how to improve it, and maybe sometimes they want to hear you. Workplaces are better than others. Sometimes they want to hear you, sometimes they didn't. My first job was very much like that at a PR firm. It was like you do some basic work, the next person reviews it, the next person reviews that, the final person really makes it happen and then sends it out. So you're just a small piece, and I always wanted more than that. And that's why I left there pretty quickly, and I ended up at a hedge fund, also doing PR, but it was much more of an entrepreneurial space. The guy who started it himself. It grew into this massive hedge fund, and kind of the message from management to all of the teams was, you're always going to have fewer people than you feel you need. Make it happen, train your people, give them agency, and let them perform. And I loved that. So I knew from that start, I was like, I want to be an entrepreneur. I think this really works for me. So I would say yes to that. And then I think connecting people, I tend to be shy. I have a lot of social anxiety. And I think I started Shaka with my sister because I personally needed it. I needed an outlet. I needed something that would force me to go outside my comfort zone. If I signed up for an event, I'm going to show up. I have a time and place to be, and I'm going to make it happen.
And I have to interact with people because they're going to talk to me.
Exactly. I have to leave my apartment and talk to people, even if I'm a little scared to. And the feeling of overcoming that and going to these events and seeing how much you connect with people from every walk of life, it lifts you up. It makes you feel really good.
Yeah.
Not everyone has to be your best friend, but you can have really good conversations that open up your world, and then you never know who you're going to be connected with. I'm going to the wedding of a original Shaka member in July, and we've become really friendly just in the space of time that he was coming to Shaka events, and that's a new, like, really close friendship that I wouldn't have had otherwise. We never would have met.
That's amazing. And I think one of the things that you mentioned, that you needed it, so you found a way. And I think when we're talking about entrepreneurship, a lot of people would say, find a gap and fill it.
Yes.
So find what's missing. And usually we know what's missing because it's missing for us. It's something that we notice a lack of.
Yes.
So definitely great ideas come from that.
Yes. And I think it's hard too in the modern world. It can feel like whatever you're feeling, whatever need you have, you think you're the only one, maybe.
I know, it's crazy, right? Sometimes I would write something and then people would be like, yeah, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. I feel the
And
same
you're
way.
like, thank God.
Wow, I really thought I was the only one, which is like so arrogant of us to be like, I'm the only one feeling that.
I know. It's so, Caitlin always says, I have a tendency to be like self-pitying where I'm like, I'm the only one who feels this way. And Caitlin goes, obviously not, if we have thousands of people who are coming to these events. And I'm sure when you first moved here, it's easy to say the same thing. Oh, I'm the only one in my apartment who doesn't really know who to go out with this weekend.
Yeah.
I need to connect with people. And we used to do interviews when we first started Shaka to interview each person who's creating an account.
Wow.
Until it became like 8 hours of interviews a day. And Caitlin and I just said, we can't do this anymore. We have enough information. And it's been fine ever since. So interviews were not necessary. But we talked to, I think we did over 1,000 interviews or almost that, somewhere in that range. So we talked to a lot of people, plus all of the people at the events. And people would constantly say, I feel like I'm the only one, especially after COVID. I feel like I've been left behind. All my friends left the city. All of my friends are settling down. My friends aren't really interested in branching out to new people. They just want to meet up with our core friend group. And Caitlin and I started saying, well, everyone is saying this. Like, you're not the only one. You're in good company, because people of all ages are saying the same thing. And now we have the U.S. Surgeon General report about the epidemic of loneliness, which came out, I think, about a year ago. So about 2 years into when we were running Shaka, and Caitlin and I said, they're finally putting kind of a term to these feelings that we were having and that we were seeing other people having.
Yeah.
And I think it was really validating.
Yeah, so many people are looking for these things in New York City. And part of this show, the point of the show is to be like, you're not alone. We all are in, like, this is a crazy city. It's a hard city.
It is.
And like you said, your schedule is so packed with everything. Even before Shaka, you were working all the time. Caitlin was working all the time. We all work all the time to make it happen, to make rent, you know, to like just live and exist here in this city, that it's so easy to work home.
Yes.
And you're just alone. And it's so definitely, I know a lot of people. I know there are other forms of social clubs, and I know people are trying to do gatherings, and I know a lot of things are on Facebook and Eventbrite and Meetup, and I always recommend people listening to the show to go to these places and find people who are looking for the same thing as you are, the same interest. And what I love about Shaka Club, it's that it's not about a specific interest. It's just about genuinely meeting people. It's not like a specifically networking event, so come bring business cards. It's not a speed dating kind of situation. You're like, okay, we just, you know, we're gonna meet. We're gonna meet. No, it's just come. Enjoy. You're not forced to do anything. Just enjoy and meet people.
Exactly.
I think it's amazing.
And because you never know who you're going to like. We have people who, one of my favorite friend groups that has come out of Shaka, it ranges from people who are like 25 to 35. Some really Southern beautiful women, some guys who are local from like Long Island and Philly. And Caitlin and I always say, on paper, you would say these people would never like each other, but they get brunch all the time. So I think it just opens people's minds. Like, you, especially as you get older, some of those factors matter less. You don't have to do the same work as people. In fact, it's kind of nice sometimes when you meet people who are in a totally different field and you get to get a look into their life, or people who are in the same field as you who work at a different place, and you say, oh, maybe I have some casual networking here. Maybe down the line we'll be friends and they can help me with the job. It just opens so many doors. Yeah. And to your point about how busy everyone is in New York, I think you can feel really stuck in your routine, and then you see other people, and I feel like I'm running around with my hair literally on fire all of the time. And I'll look at these other people in the city and I'm like, they seem to be doing so well. They're so calm. They're so put together. They're out getting their perfect lunch. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? But I think when you go out and meet people, you're like, no. Everyone feels like, you know, that's why New York City, there's a drinking culture, because everyone's like, I need a beer. I need a drink.
Yes.
It's Wednesday at
I need my espresso martini on the rooftop.
We're just an intense culture here.
Yeah, no, it's really hard. I generally feel like when you're young and I'm young, for those of you who are not watching YouTube, she's young.
Yes.
I feel like this is the age to run around and to make your life happen
Yes.
and rest later, you know? Because I'm running around as well, but I'm like, yeah, it's fine. That's my age to go crazy and run around and make everything happen. And,
Yeah.
you know, because I'll rest when I'm, you know.
And I think I
it's
would miss
harder.
it if it wasn't busy. Like
Yeah.
if I moved to a quieter part of the US, I think I would be sitting there like, what do I do with my time? I'm wasting my potential and my youth.
Yeah, I think this thing comes up every episode with every guest, but you need to love to hustle if you want to live in this city. Like you need to enjoy the process of just running around, and of course, like you still need to like, you know, make sure your mental health is okay and your body feels good. Obviously, all those things, but you need to love to work. You need to.
Yes. And I think part of Shaka too, at least for me, and I think the way that I imagine it for other people and what we hear, is that it kind of does give people the time to take care of their mental health in a social way where it's saying, okay, meet new people and you get that validation of, okay, these random people like me, these people who are my peers, who have high performing jobs, have a lot of interests. I can go to this event and all of these people want to talk to me and we get along. I think that's really validating, and it gives people kind of that third space outside of office and home where they can just set aside their worries and connect with other human beings face to face.
Yeah, and share all the hectic
Yeah.
lifestyle we're having. for
Complain.
sure. Yeah. There's something I wanted to ask you. So you and Caitlin, you're young women
Yes.
in the entrepreneurship, I hate this word, entrepreneurship world. Have you ever felt like people are looking at you and saying, oh, you're too young, or you're a woman, or, you know, things like that?
Yeah, I think our youth, and I actually think femininity works really well in this space in particular, because when you're telling people to connect, I think people have to be a little bit vulnerable. We have people who will come to the events early and say, I'm really nervous to be here. And we're like, good. The first step is that you're here and you will feel so much better going home. You will feel like you've accomplished something. And I think when men and women come and they see a young woman who's being friendly, I think it's a power of that women have where you make people feel more comfortable. You can be more nurturing. You can tell people like, we're going to connect you. You feel safe and good here. And I kind of view that as a superpower. And we have male staff as well who are also super nice and they bring a different element. But I think it's a space that really lends itself to women entering it. And I love seeing other women who are hosting events and connecting people because, as I said, I think it's one of our superpowers. I definitely think there has been an element sometimes of guys trying to explain business to us.
Oh yeah, that's a natural phenomena. That's just
Yeah,
just
where
happens all
Kayla
the
and I
time.
always just laugh and we're like, yeah, no, we've thought about that. And then we've had people especially kind of talking to Caitlin about the business, and Caitlin was a trader on Wall Street. So Caitlin will kind of come back with her financial background analysis on something and people back off really quick.
Awesome. Awesome. Because I can imagine, you know, for guys tend to do it, but men used to do it. They see young women, or even not young, like my mom runs a business with her partner, and still the men that work for them will come and teach, and they're way older.
Yeah.
And still like, you don't know what you're doing. We've been here for 9 years. Thank you very much, new employee. You know? So for some reason, yeah, it still happens today. And I can only imagine because you're younger, you know, sometimes it's so annoying. It's so frustrating. I have the same thing on my Instagram when men will just text me and be like, I think you need to do more that in this music, and this song should be more that. And I didn't ask you.
Yeah.
I really did not ask you.
I know. And it's kind of like, it used to get to me where I would think I needed to respond and acknowledge every single question that people had. But Caitlin and I just started viewing it as, you know what? You're giving me a free gift. You're giving me free ideas and free input. I might not listen to you. You might not be right. But it's giving me another way of thinking that just helps keep us in check and keeps us on our feet. I just view it that way.
That's a great, wow, that's a great way to look at that. That's such a positive, shiny way to be like, thank you.
And
stranger.
it's amazing too because everyone has opinion. Everyone has an opinion, but not everyone shares it. There are some people we've learned who just are constantly, they want to give feedback. They want to feel heard. And it's just kind of like a personality type that you see out there.
Yeah.
So we kind of had to learn that where we say, okay, you don't have to acknowledge every idea that they have. And sometimes people will give you conflicting ideas. Two people will be at the same event. One will say, it was too crowded, and one will say they wish there were even more people there. Like people experience everything differently.
Of
and
course.
you get a small fraction of that feedback from the loudest contingent typically, and not usually most people just being like, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, no, of course you're always gonna have, especially in the bigger event, in the bigger events, and as you grow, like you're always gonna have people that didn't like a certain thing or like a certain thing. You can't make everyone happy, right?
Exactly. You can't control everything. But I think to your point, keeping it broad and just saying come connect with people your age allows people to have the space to make it their own. So they can
Yeah.
have their own experience. If they want to go and meet new friends, if they're trying to date and they just want to like chat up some people in their age group who are single of the opposite gender, they can do that.
Which is also a great way to meet because there's no pressure on
Yes.
the, like meeting as, on like a blind date or some on an app or something like that. You're just hanging out.
Yes.
And you see somebody you like, you talk to them, no pressure, and you can continue talking later. Like that's
Exactly.
fine.
Because I think with dating apps and things like that, there is that pressure of, okay, I have to go and one by one meet these people who I could be interested in. I haven't
Yeah.
looked at them face to face. I've just seen pictures. Maybe we've chatted a little bit, and then I have to devote hours to each person.
Yeah, and if you don't like the conversation, you stuck there on this horrible date. I have
Climbing out the
friends.
bathroom window.
Yeah, I have friends who go through that, and they're just like a whole hour. I put makeup for that.
I know.
Just why?
Oh my God, I know. And but at least with Shaka, you're just able to kind of do that in a natural setting where you could be friends with girls who could then introduce you to other girls that you do end up dating. You don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
But it does take off that pressure. But we have seen a lot of couples actually form from Shaka who now come back. And we can always kind of tell because they'll start coming together and leaving together. And we're like, are they? And then they'll finally say, oh, yeah, we started dating. Like, thank you. And it makes us so happy.
That's amazing. And also because it's different people. Like you do have people who they constantly come to all the events like that I've seen that you have like the
Yes.
regular ones. But also generally it's always different people. So if you didn't connect to anyone, maybe like didn't find, your group in this event, the next time you come, you will meet new people. And every time it's you, because you have a lot of, how many members do you have?
So we have over 7,000 people.
That's
who have signed
insane.
up. Yeah.
That's insane. So the opportunity to meet 7,000 people and you keep growing and growing.
Yeah. It's
That's-
like constant.
No, I know because I'm part of the website. So I
Yes.
see the notification every time somebody signs up and I'm like, holy shit.
It's
What's up?
constant. And I think it's also, we'll host events that are over 100 people. Our party next weekend is going to be, I think we have to cap it out at like over 150, but still it's a good size people. But if you think about it in the context of 7,000, you're still only seeing a fraction
Yeah.
of the people you have at your disposal. But people will come to some of those events and be like, oh my God, there's so many people here. I'm like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
This is the second one this week. We have 100 people going to happy hour tomorrow.
That's amazing, I think. And we're going to talk about all the events because after the break, because I do want to mention what is the Shaka Club, and what you give and the events that you have and, all that. But before we go on a break, you have a podcast with
Yes.
Caitlin, and I wanted to talk about that because that's why I also invited you to the show because I saw you have a podcast, and I'm like, I have a podcast. That's so cool.
We got to connect. We're newer than you, though. We don't have the production value that you've got.
I'm very new. Like this is the 7th episode
Okay,
of this
we're
show.
on like our third.
Same thing, beginning. But I wanted to ask about the podcast. Like, what do you cover in the podcast? What do you talk about? Because you set a great example, like we said, to New York women or to women in general, to young women that just like, I want to be my own thing. I want to do my own thing. I don't care that I'm young. I don't, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
So what does the podcast cover?
We cover a lot about social interactions in the 20s, 30s, and 40s age group. So because it's all we think about, because we're not only in that age group, but we host events for thousands of people who are in those age groups, and we hear from a lot of those people. We kind of just talk about what life looks like for these young professionals and how it's changed over time. So we'll do a lot of talk about dating, where we'll say, before even before the turn of this past century, people usually just married who they happened to know, who their parents probably knew, who lived in their hometown. They didn't move far from home. And fast forward to now, people are meeting on dating apps. Dating apps are slightly dying off now, though. They're getting less investors. Not as many people are signing on anymore. They really just have kind of like a status quo base that's remaining on them.
Interesting.
The
Why?
Wall Street Journal.
Where everyone?
So apparently they think it's become saturated, where everyone who's basically was ever going to try a dating app has done it. So, and as people find people on dating apps and they hop off, so there are not as many new people coming in. And there are some people who just really like dating. So some of them are just on there not for the reason to actually form a relationship, but just to like cycle through people. And those are, or some people who really need help dating. And those are really the two customers with the most staying power, which isn't actually productive for the widest user base.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see why.
I might be butchering that, but that's as far as I can recall from what the Wall Street Journal report I listened to on their podcast. That was kind of the feeling there. But I think it's kind of changed the psychology of dating a little bit, where people, because it's more of a numbers game inherently on the dating apps, people will feel really bad when it's not going their way because, okay, I'm doing what everyone else is doing. I'm putting myself out there and it's not working, even though for the majority of people, they are going on multiple dates a week, let's say, and everyone's kind of having the same feelings about it when it's not working.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of hurting people there. And then as people in this age group, we're staying single for longer. We're living in big cities in bigger numbers. We're working really hard and long in a lot of these big cities. So we have less time to socialize organically.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I think really hurts people in the dating sphere, which is why like dating apps kind of filled that need. But in like just the friends and meeting people sphere, I think that's the next frontier, where there hasn't been a good answer to date. And I think what we've seen with our community in New York is that meeting people in person is definitely working and giving that people that space.
It's the best way, really the best way. Yeah, so I think we're going to end on this note just to take a little break.
Perfect.
So we can breathe a little bit and give our listeners time for bathroom if they need. And we're going to continue in 15 minutes after a music break talking about the Shaka and the upcoming events and how you can join the club if you are here in New York or New Jersey.
Come hang out.
Yes, but stay tuned. And wait, I'm not ready with my music. Oh, there you go. I am ready with my music. And bye. Welcome back, YouTube. You didn't hear the music because you can't. But next time, just join us live. That's your option. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Always forget that part. Okay. Cool. So now it's the second part of the show, and we're going to talk more in depth about the Shaka Club, what it is, what can we expect, how we can get in, the different types of memberships and all that, So I guess like the first thing would be if somebody wants to be a part of it, I know we mentioned it, but just a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so this has changed a lot over the history of the club. As I mentioned, we used to require interviews and things like that, but now we know not that much information is required to know that you're getting a good crew. So basically, if you're someone out there today who wants to come to a Shock event, which you should, because they're a lot of fun, and at the very least you can hang out with me and Vika, you can just go to our website and purchase a ticket for upcoming events. If you don't have a Shaka Club account, you're just going to be asked to provide a little more information. So your age, maybe a social link, your full name, etc. But you should create an account because then you need to supply less information per checkout. So checkout times are faster. We can give you more personalized recommendations for events based on your age group. And you get loyalty points for all of the tickets you purchase. So you get even more discounts on events and things like that. So it's very easy. You just literally fill in a very brief form and then you're good to go. Our team checks each form. If we notice somebody gets flagged because they have too little information provided or something looks wrong, we'll block their access and reach out to them asking for more information so they can't come to the events until we know that they're good to go. But we do have memberships. You don't have to be a member to attend events, but memberships, they're just $10 to $20 per month, depending on which one you choose. $10 per month is for 12 months at a time, and $20 per month is per month where you can cancel at any time. But really why you would become a member is I'd say most of the time what we see is you're new to the club, you really want to attend a lot of happy hours, attend a lot of events in a short amount of time. It's a value saving mechanism. So all the happy hours are free if you're a member.
How many events would you say there are in a month, let's say?
In a month, it's usually about 6 to 8. So it varies. It's at least 1 to 2 a week, but they're about like 6 to 8 a month for now. We'll see as we keep growing how many more we need to add on.
So you'd say it's worth it. Okay, now my mic is working. There you go. Was I with the wrong mic this entire time? Which mic is yours? What does it say here? 3. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was with the wrong mic up until now.
Oh,
Great
man.
job, Vika. Amazing. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So sorry. So you said how many events?
About 6 to 8 a month.
Okay, so it's worth it because if you're just an approved user, you need to buy a separate ticket for each event.
Exactly.
And that is gonna be okay.
And members get more loyalty points, so they rack up more event discounts faster. So I'd say if you're going to attend more than like once or twice a month, it makes sense. Especially if you like to play pickleball. We have pickleball every Sunday. It saves you some money, which is always necessary in New York during the break. Vika and I were talking about how expensive everything is.
So okay, so you have happy hours. You have the larger events, right? Like we had the St. Patrick's Day, and now we have the summer kickoff.
Yes.
We have the pickleball. What else would you say? Like, what type of events people can expect?
So it's shifted a lot, like everything else, over the course of the Shaka Club. As it stands now, it's happy hours, which are more like post-work mingling events. They tend to be a bit smaller than our big parties, so they're great for first-time attendees where it's a dedicated age group. We'll have dedicated private space, and you can really kind of take a break after work. Next, we have mixers. So those are what we call our larger parties. They'll have broader age groups, but as Vika mentioned earlier, we usually have some sort of designator that says, okay, this is the orange wristband means you're under 30, whatever the case may be. We will, as we keep growing, shift to age-based mixers as well, which will be an exciting addition, and then just do like super mixers where it's everybody and it's like hundreds and hundreds of people. And then we have activities. So pickleball is one of them. We've done hikes, kayaking, things like that before. Wow. We'll be doing croquet this summer, which we've done for a few years in a row. Sometimes activities will also become happy hours or mixers. So we're doing a golf mixer coming up where it'll be a mixer and you can play some golf.
Nice.
That's just an example, but
and we went to the Mets game as well.
Yes, you guys went to the Mets game. So things like that, where it's more of like a special circumstance. And we kind of shift things around a lot. But based off of those, because the goal is to really meet new people, we think those categories really accomplishes it the best. We see some places out there where they'll do like small dinners, and we used to play with that too, but they're just too small to be effective.
Yeah.
Unless you really know those people are going to get along and everyone's going to show up on time and not flake. it's really not worth it.
It's harder. I feel like at dinner as well, like especially if you're sitting at a table, you're only
Yeah.
talking to these people right here.
Yeah.
And I've been to events like that when they needed us to sit at a table.
Yeah.
And then you feel awkward to get up.
Yeah.
You know, you're just talking to this one person next to you, and if they're boring, you're just kind of like stuck there until you finish your meal. Yeah. So I can get why I can get awkward.
It could be okay for maybe like shyer people, but that's why we tell people like come to the happy hours or activities, come early so you'll meet the staff, you'll see people as they come in, you'll meet them, and then as you meet people, they'll introduce you to more people. It really is not that hard to get integrated into the group, even if you are on the shyer side.
Yeah, and I think especially for the events that you have like games, you know, and not even like let's say you have pickleball, you have it's like an official game, but I also been to events that you did that just have games on the side, like it can be like a happy hour, a kickoff, or mixer, but it has games.
Yes, like
it's
putt,
easier.
mini golf, cornhole,
Yeah.
flip cup, stack cup, everything. But it does give people a little bit of a space to say, okay, I'm chatting with people, let's go play this game. It cuts through the ice a little bit.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, what if a person that is a member or have an access they want to bring a guest or things like that? How does that work?
So they can just grab a guest ticket. We used to have them as a separate ticket, but now it's kind of like admit 1 access, admit 2. So if you're bringing a group, you get a discount for the more people you bring, just because, you know, the more people, the merrier. But if you are a member, an approved user, definitely log in so that you get your discounts applied automatically at checkout. But yeah, you can just bring a guest. We just need to know their name, their age, etc. And it's pretty easy, but people bring guests all the time or they'll just say, hey, I'm going to this event, and then the person will sign up and note, oh, they were telling me to join them, so I'm joining the Shaka Club.
Amazing, because then they bring a guest. If the guest likes it, they will join. You know, they have an opportunity to experience it. You know, that's a great thing.
Exactly, and there's no reason, if you are a guest, not to just create an account, have an account, and have the ability to sign up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's free to create an account.
Exactly.
And you just have it. What are other perks? Because I know there are other perks to being a member. I don't know. Is it only members or approved users as well with all the discounts around the city? How does that work?
Everybody gets the discounts around the city. So we have ones with Maman, different bars where you can get money off of coffee and pastries. Ones at bars where you can get a free drink or 10% off your entire tab. Or if you go to restaurants and get dinner, they'll give you a free drink. So it's usually places where we've hosted events. We know the owners, and they say, oh yeah, we loved having the Shaka crew. Everyone was so nice. Tell them to come back and we'll give them X, Y, and Z. They just have to put Shaka Club in the reservation. So we like to share the love and the savings. We give that to everybody.
To check out this section of
Yes, I use it all the time. The amount of Maman cookies that I've gotten with that discount, and you save like $5 every time. But then in terms of the membership, it's really like you get more flexible cancellation, because for hosting an event, you really need to know how many people are going to come. And if people sign up to come and don't, then it takes away spots from people who wanted to come but couldn't if the event fills up too much. So you can cancel up to 24 hours if you're a member. For approved users, it's 72 hours. A lot of events companies don't even offer cancellation, so we really try to be flexible. But sometimes the partners will be like, hey, you already paid us. Like, we can't refund the money. So we try to be flexible, and usually can be. But with members, it's a bit easier because, you know, they're our most committed customer. And they get discounts. So they save $5, $10, $15 plus per event, and they get the free all happy hours are free. So it gives them the option to just say, oh, I don't even really need a ticket. I'll just sign up quickly. It's Wednesday. I just got out of work. The event's starting at 7:30. I'll just swing by. You know, it gives them that kind of super flexibility to just engage with the events as much as they want to.
That's awesome. And I feel like, especially from what I've seen, there are certain happy hours that are more like intimate, that like, because it's every time it's a different area. And then like for people who are looking to like get to know more people in depth, like those intimate happy hours, they can just attend all these different ones.
And because it takes some time to like really build relationships with people, and you have that frequency with Shaka where, to your point, the more you go, the more you're gonna see some of the same people you can build relationships with meet new people and start to build relationships with them, but it just reinforces those bonds over time versus if you meet someone on a dating app or at some sort of random friends thing, then it's on you guys to follow up. You got to meet each other again. Whereas with Shaka, we hear all the time people say, oh, I got thrown into this big group chat after the event and everyone was just saying, oh, are you guys going to this event? And I saw they were going, so I just hopped on. You know,
There is a group chat, yeah.
Yeah. We've heard of a lot of that, but we're like, oh, hopefully people say nice things about us.
Yeah, which is amazing because it's people that, you know, because sometimes maybe a person can't make it to the happy hour or to the event, like the Shaka event.
Yes.
And they'll be like, hi, somebody wants to, like, I just see it in the group because I'm part of a group. Like,
Yeah.
hey, somebody wants to grab a drink this Thursday, Wednesday, whatever. Like, yeah, I'm down. I'm in. Let's go. Let's do that. You know, so even when you don't have an event, you still have your little social group and you already have an in common combinator, which is like, we're part of the Shaka Club.
Yeah, we've all been vetted in some way. We know that, okay, these people aren't gonna kill me at this random bar that I meet them at. But we've toyed with having groups and group chats on the app because we have an app as well as the website, and we used to. But something we thought was kind of to your point, if people want to form group chats, they do. And they run them better on WhatsApp, et cetera, than we can with, we're not going to compete with WhatsApp. Like, we want people to have that introduction. If they want to share their number with you, they will. Then you'll have their number. You guys chat, et cetera, on the side. But when it's too available, sometimes that's when you get complaints we've heard with other apps where people are just chatting people up all the time, et cetera. Here, it's like, okay, you have to look the person in the eye and be like, can I have your number? Let's connect.
Yeah, yeah.
And that just breeds more natural relationships between people.
Yeah, and I feel like specifically in your events, I've seen people do that, and people feel comfortable because again, they already saw you. If you come to them and you're like, "Hi, there's a group you want to join." Yeah, sure. Why not?
Especially a group chat. It's such like table stakes, and you're only going to ask someone for their number if you've really been connecting. Like, oh, it would be great. We should get coffee. Like, continue this conversation. You know?
Yeah. Definitely. So yeah, I feel like it's a good thing. Like, and it doesn't hurt the club because this is the entire point to make friends, to create those connections.
Exactly.
Outside.
We want people to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. There was something that I really want. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask what is upcoming for this month for our listeners.
That's a great question. So tomorrow night we have our 30s and 40s happy hour at the Blonde in Soho. It's going to be massive. Then we have our summer kickoff party at Bar Hugo, which is a gorgeous rooftop with panoramic views of the Hudson River and Lower Manhattan. We'll have a killer raffle there where we're raffling off free surf lessons, a $250 dinner.
Damn.
Free swag from a few different companies and partners, and some other free goodies. So in addition to just going to an event and having a great time, you're going to get some really cool exposure to some cool experiences and products. Then we will be launching another late 20s and 30s happy hour, another 20s happy hour. We just released a yacht party.
Damn.
Open bar.
Now when the weather is getting
with the
normal again.
With the weather taking a turn for the better, hopefully. Rooftop pickleball every Sunday, weather permitting. And going into June and July, we'll have a golf mixer, more happy hours. So pretty much just opportunities with the summer to enjoy the weather and socialize in the ways that you want to.
Nice. I remembered what I wanted to ask. So I wanted to ask if somebody who's listening, if they want to reach out regarding if they have like, if they want to offer a space or they want to, you know, just come with a suggestion if they want to work with you guys, if they like, how are you open to that? Do you accept any?
Absolutely. We actually find a lot of venues that way. It makes our lives a whole lot easier because there are so many things and places and whatnot in New York City that, you know, we do our research and we'll reach out to people as well, but we'll have these venue owners saying, hey, love this concept. I have this space. Here's something really cool we can do with you guys. And when we have those relationships and have that outreach from groups and we really connect with other people, we're like, yeah, let's create something awesome together. That's what we're all here for. So that happens all the time. They can go on our website. We have a page for partners where they can fill out a form, or they can just email us at the email listed on our website, or a lot of people DM us on Instagram.
Okay.
And we get back to them as quickly as possible. We get hundreds of DMs, so sometimes it takes us some time.
So email maybe
So
is
maybe
a better
email.
way. Yeah. But generally, I will, for YouTube people, I will link all the accounts below. So if you want to reach out, you're going to have it. Generally, it's just Shaka Club. You can just type it on Google and it's just there. But I will link it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Exciting. Yes, everyone's welcome to come.
Yes, really do. I feel like it's such a great way to meet people in New York, and don't be lonely in your apartment after work. Just come out. And I remember my first event. I came as a guest. I was so shy. I was so nervous. I was just like sitting at the bar.
I remember seeing you. I was there at the blonde event, right?
Yes. Yeah. I was just sitting there and I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. And I was like, for the first 10 minutes, I was just like sitting at the bar. I was drinking beer. And then some girl came and she was like, what are you sitting here alone for? And I'm like, I don't know what to do. She's like, come on. And she just took me. And we just went around and she introduced me to everyone.
I love
was
that.
like, okay, now I'm fine.
They're doing my job for me.
No, it was really nice. Yeah, because I was like, I didn't know, because it is scary. And I'm a pretty outgoing person, but and I network a lot and I go to these events a lot, but still, like, sometimes we just don't feel it. Sometimes it's the wrong day. Sometimes it's scary, especially if it's a new place, a new club, and people already know each other, and you're like,
I know. And I feel like people don't believe us sometimes where we're like, no, people are genuinely so nice. Like
Yes.
you can break into a group and just be like, hey guys, jumping in here. And everyone will be like, yeah.
everyone was
great."
so nice. Yes.
So like, it really is just the easiest way to meet people.
Yeah. And all I'm saying is, if you're nervous, that's fine. That's okay. I mean, we are there to make you feel comfortable. So if you're nervous, you're going to find people with shaka hats walking around. Like, why are you standing here alone? Let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's definitely a nice way. I think that's it. Is there anything that you want to add about the Shaka Club? Something that I didn't mention, that I didn't ask?
No, I think that's it. Just that we keep growing, we keep posting events, we keep seeing Vika at those events. So there's always an opportunity for you to figure out what you think would be the best way for you to get involved, and to just come meet some really nice people and check it out for yourselves. There's no reason not to.
Definitely. So you already know that you have a lot of friends if you're coming to New York.
Yes.
Okay, let's see what's next. Oh, wow. We finished exactly on time. It's like 1:30.
Yes. It's those internal clocks.
Yeah, it's time for recommendations. So Kelly and I were talking about how everything in New York is super, super expensive, and the groceries are getting expensive, and
Rent.
hanging out, just going out, like everything is so expensive in New York. And Kelly actually mentioned a great way to save money, which was
The Too Good To Go app.
Too Good To Go app. What is this?
It's basically when restaurants have leftover food at the end of the day, you can get a massive discount on pizza, some surprise bags, sushi, things that are just going to go in the trash or something anyway. You can get a great deal on that. So if you're going out, you have some drinks, you get home, you want some good food, check it out.
Too Good To Go app. I can link in below for the YouTube people as well. It's a great, I think I used to have it. I don't know why I don't have it anymore. But I think I used to have, I mean, I'm working with restaurants, so I'm getting that before it goes to you guys.
Got
So
the
I'm just
real
like,
Too
go
Good To Go
numbers.
experience.
Yeah, after photo shoot. So I have that. And the other recommendation of today, okay, so those of you who have been following me on social media, I've announced that I'm doing a vegan challenge this week, which is going great. I think, like I have my juices, and I had my avocado vegan wrap thingy today. So I don't know how, like, I'm gonna make vegan food eventually. Like, I'm gonna cook today, but I didn't have time until now. So I actually kind of I was just navigating between vegan options in restaurants and things like that.
Just hard.
Yes, but it's actually, so for me, it's like, those who know me, they're like, you're vegan? No fucking way. Like, what the hell is happening to you? I've been influenced by friends and people that were just like, just try. So I'm trying. I'm like, okay, let me see how I feel, like if I feel more energetic. It is interesting because I do feel the energy, like I do feel energetic, and I thought it's gonna be so much harder for me because I love meat, I love fish, but it's just 3 days, so yeah, I'm still fine. I'm still like, okay, yeah. But Yeah, so I didn't believe that I can do it, but I'm doing it. And the reason I'm telling you this is because yesterday I went to a restaurant, to an amazing restaurant in, I think it was Soho. I think it was Soho.
Okay.
And the restaurant is called the Organic Grill.
Oh.
And it doesn't sound like it's vegan, right? Like the
No.
Organic Grill. It's a vegan restaurant and it's delicious. I will put some photos for you, YouTube people, because I took some photos. Because if I go to a really nice restaurant, I do like to leave a review on Google
Oh,
and
that's
help out the
nice.
business.
Yes.
And they usually also reply and like, oh, thank you so much. Because like, if it's a good place,
They
I
deserve
will. Yeah,
acknowledgement,
exactly.
Not just complaints.
Exactly. Especially if it's like a small family-owned restaurant or, you know,
Yes.
something, some business that is just like, and you mentioned how hard it is to be a restaurant in New York City.
Yes.
So I really like to help out. So the Organic Grill, they have such amazing food because for I've been to vegan restaurants before. Thanks to my friend, she's like, let's go to a vegan place. I'm like,
Yeah.
sure, okay, fine. But I went, and usually I'm not very, like, I don't connect with the food. I don't understand the menu
Yeah.
most of the times because it's so, like...
Oh yeah, it's like the jackfruit meat,
I
whatever.
know, like, what does that mean? But this specific place, the whole point of the place is that it looks like they have a regular menu. They have burgers, they have, like,
Oh, that's
rice
great.
bowls, and they have Caesar salad, and just French fries and just regular food, but
That happens to
everything
be vegan,
yeah,
yeah.
everything is vegan. And like, for example, I got a rice bowl yesterday with a lot of vegetables, and they put a cauliflower on the top of the rice that looks like sweet and sour chicken,
Oh, that's so funny.
and it looks exactly the same. I'm like, wait, what is
Oh,
this?
yum.
And yeah, it was cauliflower, and I enjoyed the meal so much. For a non-vegan person who's just like meat all the time,
Yeah, give it a try.
yeah, I really enjoy the restaurant. So the Organic Grill, it's a great place. I think it's either Ukrainian or Russian owned, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
Yeah,
very
'cause they
cool.
were speaking Russian, and I was like, I'm at home. So yeah, support the local business, especially if you're vegan. I think it's on one of the top restaurants on the
wow.
vegan. Yeah, like if you search for vegan restaurants, the Organic Grill definitely is one of them. What's your favorite restaurant in the city?
Oh, that's a good question.
What's your favorite food?
My favorite food, as I told you, I have the appetite of a 5-year-old. So mac and cheese, chicken fingers, that kind of thing, like bar food, love that. My favorite restaurant in the city, I really love Italian food too. It's very fancy. I went for my brother's birthday, but Fasano, it's only in, I think, Milan and New York, and they have a jazz club.
Oh,
It was very cool, and the food was out of this world. That's just one of the more recent ones I've been to. And also 53. It's on 53rd Street. It's owned by the same people who own Maria, and it's basically Asian fusion, and it is phenomenal. Everything is just perfect. And actually, I went after a Shaka Club event. I was starving, and I was like, "What's near here?" And I said, "Oh, 53, perfect. I'll go there." I sit down with my brother and sister, and they said, "Oh, did you notice anything on the way in?" Because it was super late. It was like 10 p.m. that we were sitting down, and I was like, "No, I'm just starving." And they said, "Look over there." It was Leonardo DiCaprio, Adam Driver, and Al Pacino having dinner at the table next to us.
holy shit!
I was like, and all he said was, "Who pays for that dinner?"
Oh my
In
god!
that group, who pays for? Do they split the bill? I doubt it. I doubt it. I think it's got to go to the least famous one, which might be Adam Driver. Maybe Adam Driver pays.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Maybe it's somebody's birthday, or they just, you never know. But
Exactly.
it happens in New York so often that you just like hang out with people. Like I went to a club, and by 5 minutes I missed the Black Eyed Peas performing.
Oh my God.
I was sitting like table next to them, and by the time I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go home, I went home 5 minutes after. They just came and were like, it wasn't an official performance. They were just like there hanging in the club,
my
and I missed
God.
it by 5 minutes. 2 days ago, my roommate comes back home, and she's like, I spend the night, like not spend the night, but she hung out with Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just because he was a friend of a friend, he happens to be there with his kids, and I'm like,
that's so
this
funny.
happens in New York. You
I've
just
seen him on
find
the street
yourself-
like 3 times.
I love him.
Also, Trevor Noah. I've seen him a few times.
Wow, I feel like so many talented people are just walking.
I know,
walking
just
here.
normal. He was
you'll
getting a
see
drink
them.
at the Bowery Hotel one time. He was like carrying a coffee down Fifth Avenue and Flatiron one time. I was like, is it me or do we keep running into each other?
Yeah, so definitely a lot of Facebook, but don't jump on them.
No.
Definitely don't jump on them. They hate that. Okay, so right before we finish, we have a few minutes left. As always, I mentioned the national holidays that we have on this day. Let me grab my computer. It's so hard. Okay. Let's see what we have today. Receptionist Day. I feel like we had that before. Very important day to appreciate the receptionists. I feel like they're so underappreciated.
Yes.
Underappreciated receptionists.
Yes.
They do all the work and they just don't
They
get
deal with all the
enough
people.
credit. And like you mentioned, like all the paperwork and the phone calls and the things that like you need to do for Shaka
Scheduling
Club,
meetings,
it's just like,
rescheduling. Yeah.
receptionist
I am my
do all
own
that.
receptionist.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'll be my
so
day
we know
too.
how hard it is, with being your own business. You're like, so much shit to be done. Ooh, we're gonna love that one. National Give Someone a Cupcake Day.
Oh.
So, I'm vegan, so don't give me a cupcake. Please don't give me a cupcake. But yeah, treat somebody. What else we have today? National Have a Coke Day. Those are some weird days today. No Socks Day. There's
I'm
a
breaking
day-
that one. I'm wearing socks.
There's a day for everything. Let's go to the more important ones. World Donkey Day. That's important. Last time we appreciated dogs. This time we're appreciating donkeys. And the most important one, World Ovarian Cancer Day. So
Oh, yes.
awareness for ovarian cancer. It's actually all these like awarenesses day, like some of them really help because sometimes we forget to do all these checkups and to check on our health and ourselves,
Yes.
especially things like cancer that you don't notice in time.
Yes.
And it's so important in early stages. And I feel I'm going to continue the mission of a stand-up comedian that I watched like 3 days ago because she finished the show and she came on stage with a mask. And she was like, "Oh, you probably think I'm a lame person because I'm wearing a mask. Yeah, I know COVID is, And then she kept with the set. She just made jokes, and in the end of the set, she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna tell you the real reason I'm wearing a mask. I'm a breast cancer survivor. That's why I'm very sensitive. I'm in a danger group." And then she finished the show with saying, "Check yourself all the time because
Yes.
early stages is so important to, especially again things like cancer that you don't see it until it's too late."
No.
So make sure to always check, to always make sure your health. If you live in New York, you're always running. You probably, like you mentioned, you're consuming sometimes unhealthy food on the go.
Yes.
Like you're stressing out about everything. Just check your mental health, check your physical health, make sure you're okay.
Yes.
Because we do.
Otherwise, you can't do anything else.
I know.
And
exactly.
ovarian cancer is a silent killer. It's
Yeah.
it's slow to progress, but if it progresses, it's nasty. But it can be taken care of early stages. So you
Yeah.
got to go to the gynecologist. I know they say you can sometimes, if you're younger, space it out a few years. It's not worth it. It takes an hour. Just go get it checked.
Yeah.
And rest assured.
Yeah, definitely. Same with breast cancer. It's easy to
Yes.
check at home. If if you can't, you can always ask somebody, your mom, your roommate, to check. You could check it every month. If you go
Yes.
to YouTube, you can check it yourself, how to do it. And it prevents so many problems in the long run. So, yes. So I'm glad we talked about that because it's important, unrelated to the topic, but I feel like it's worth mentioning.
Hey, we
completely.
just talked about female entrepreneurs. That's a big
Exactly,
piece.
exactly. We need to be strong to make more businesses and to thrive in this world. Amazing. We're gonna end up with some music. What kind of music you like?
Oh, I like everything. I like your music, Mika.
Okay. Fine. I did not tell her to say that.
She didn't. She didn't.
Okay, fine. So because you said that, we're gonna listen to my music. Because it's my radio show, so why not,
Yes.
right? I can do that. Where am I? I'm right here. So we listen to these. Let's go to my older. It's so hard for me to listen to my older songs because I'm like, that's so old. Like I feel, I don't know. The artists will understand that when you're an artist, when you look at your older work, you're just like the website, the
Oh,
first
God.
website that you were talking about. It's just
So
like,
embarrassing.
so all artists, I feel like all artists feel the same about their old art and music, but fuck it, let's do that. Thank you for watching, guys. Kelly, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
me. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yes, and I hope that you will join the Shaka Club and
Yes.
come and visit us
Yes.
there, and I'll take a photo of you. Promise.
Yes. She's great at that.
Bye.